Alright, I had a few people ask about my cheese setup, so I thought I'd do a short video. Today I'm going to try to turn this milk into cheese, and I say try because I've never used this brand of milk before, and it's kind of hit and miss with certain brands of milk. This is Kroger's. I've heard it works. We'll find out soon enough. But this is the pot that I use. I usually boil it for about 15-20 minutes and then let it cool down before I put any milk in there, just to make sure it's sterilized. And I do the same thing with all this equipment. So I have my annatto here for the color for Colby cheese that I'm making today, and then I have my calcium chloride, which you need to add to homogenized milks, because it just adds back in some of the calcium. And then back here I have my liquid rennet. So everything's been sterilized and very clean all the way through, and I've got everything set up for hopefully when I get some curds I can dump it out in here. So I'm going to get this milk going, and I'll check back, and hopefully I've got good news. Alright, I'm back, and this has been going, this process took about 2 hours, mostly just a lot of sitting time and keeping the temperatures the same. So we're going to find out if this milk works, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this knife, I'm going to slip it in here on its side, and we're looking for a nice clean break. So that's pretty good, actually. If it was still a little bit sloppy, you just give it a little bit more time. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into cubes, about 3/8 of an inch. Every cheese is a little bit different, but you're going to cut this into cubes right in the pot. First you go all through the pot this way, and then you'll cross over, go in the opposite direction, and then you're going to come into it at an angle, working all the way through each direction, and that'll give you the size cubes that you need. So far so good. It looks like this stuff might work, and I'll come back when we're on to the next step. Alright, so here's what the curd looks like after it's all cut up. What I've got to do from this point on is gently stir it and raise the temperature on it. This process is going to take me about an hour and a half to get the curd all cooked down, and I'll bring it back when I'm done with that. Alright, for last hour and 15 minutes or so I've been stirring this, and you can tell that the curd is really cooked down well. It's really tiny. Whoops, sorry about the finger. So we're going to let that sit and drain for about 20 minutes on this particular kind of cheese. The other benefit to this is we've got a lot of whey left over. We can use it to make ricotta with. We can feed it to the dogs. The dogs love it. When we get chickens, we can give it to them. There's just a lot of stuff you can do with this. You can even put some in your smoothies if you want. It's very healthy. So we're going to give that about 20 minutes to drain out, and then it's going to go back in the pot, and I'll break it up because this is going to turn into a big lump again, and add salt to it, and it should be ready to go in the press. I'll come back when we're ready. Alright, so we've drained the curd, and we've added the salt, milled it, and we've filled the mold. We've got this press. It's a spring press, so it's kind of by feel, but we're going to press this for about a half an hour at 20 pounds. We're going to take the cheese out, we're going to flip it over, put it back in the cheesecloth, and then press it again for another 30 minutes at 20 pounds, and I'll show you what that looks like when we come back in about an hour. Alright, here is the final cheese, almost final. This got pressed 4 different times. Each time you've got to take it out of the cheese mold. You've got to take the cheesecloth off, turn it over, and put it back in the press again for a little while. Every cheese is different, like I've said. This isn't really a cheese tutorial, but I'm kind of trying to give you an idea of the process and the length of time. This is going to sit out in room temperature. I'll cover it with cheesecloth or something just to keep the fuzz off of it. Each time I handle it, I've got a bottle of white vinegar over here. I'll wash my hands and spray them down. I just want to make sure that I don't get anything on the cheese, so you got to be super clean. Everything should be sterilized. So start to finish on a Colby cheese, the prep time to get everything ready, the actual time to make it was about 5 hours of work. So I always like to go get my materials, my milk and stuff like that the day before. I want to get started early because I don't want to be doing this till 10 o'clock or midnight. And then the amount of times you have to flip it and everything, you've pretty much got to babysit it all night. And usually on most cheeses, you're going to do the last pressing overnight for about 12 hours. So that's it. I hope this was helpful, give you an idea of what all is involved. In a couple of days, this is actually going to get a little bit darker. The Anatos made it kind of have a butter color to it, but it will get a little darker as it air dries, and then we'll go ahead and wax it. I will probably come back in a few days and do another video on how to wax cheeses. So if you got any questions, please leave it in the comments. I'll be glad to get to them, and I'll see you on the next one.